They say home is where the heart is, but where you're raised isn't always the forgiving, nurturing place that you'd think it would or should be. In fact, if you're a rapper who has spread your wings to the point that you're now renowned both in your own area and further afield, then it's among the most treacherous places to be. Because sadly, that's when the streets that you grew up on can turn into the most dangerous place of all. Whether it's an opportunistic crime gone wrong, or a long-standing grudge that someone finally follows through on, it's an all too common tragedy for MCs to lose their lives in the same place that molded them. It's your boy Louaista, and these are rappers who were killed in their own cities. Often, these rappers who were tragically murdered in their own backyard were inspirational figures who dedicated their lives to the betterment of their neighborhoods. Unfortunately, no one exemplifies that more than Nipsey Hussle, whose life was tragically cut short when he was fatally shot on March 31st, 2019, at just 33 years old. Born and raised in the Crenshaw district of South Central LA, Nipsey's all too brief life was a true success story born of grit and determination. At every turn, he was given a reason to let go of his dreams, but he kept pushing on, progressing from slinging his own mixtapes on the streets to his aptly titled major label debut album, Victory Lap.
Did you ever get down where it was like, man, this ain't gonna work? Or,
you know, that's why I call my thing the marathon, because I'm not gonna lie and portray this ultimate poise like I've had it figured out. Nah, I just didn't quit. That's the only distinguishing quality. I went through every emotion with trying to pursue what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And I think that what gonna separate whoever's gonna try to go for something is that you ain't gonna quit.
With that album, he firmly cemented himself as more than just a street rapper, but an artist with the capacity to become a force on the charts. All the while, he tried to uplift his community with his Marathon clothing store, bringing vital employment and togetherness to the neighborhood. So it's almost impossible to believe that someone who is this much of a pillar of his community would end up in front of a gun. But that's not all. He was also slain by someone who repped the same set as him. Among the ranks of Hussle's fellow Rolling 60s neighborhood Crips, Eric Holder pulled up to the Marathon store on that fateful day in March 2019, along with a woman named Breonna Nicholson, who has since received death threats over what went down that day. At some point, words were exchanged between Holder and Hussle after Nicholson had asked for a photo, with Eric returning to the vehicle and retrieving an automatic pistol. In her version of events, he then charged towards the store. I was like, what are you doing? You put that away. You ain't gonna shoot nothing outside of my car, she said. Initially, she didn't even realize that Holder, who would stay at her home that night, was the culprit. I was like, oh my god, I was just there. How did he get shot? I was like, I heard the shots or whatever, but I didn't think Eric did it or nothing like that. As it turns out, Holder shot Hussle 11 times, while 2 bystanders were also caught with a bullet. Accused of first-degree murder just days after the killing, Eric initially claimed that he was propositioned by someone in the LAPD to commit the murder and would receive $75,000 for it. However, during the trial, the prosecutor stated that something was said that motivated Holder to return to the parking lot and kill Nipsey Hussle. Reportedly, the words that were exchanged related to allegations that Holder was a snitch, but apparently, it wasn't so much that Nipsey was accusing him, but warning him that he should set the record straight regarding paperwork that was floating around. After being held in the county jail, there were unsurprisingly major consequences for Holder over what he did. At one point, he was beaten so badly behind bars that he literally couldn't attend court. His legal team argued that there was a green light on him, given the widespread admiration for Nipsey Hussle across both blue and red lines in California's gang scene. His face is swollen and his eye is swollen, said his lawyer, with photos showing that the back of his head was slashed with a razor. Since the murder, 2 of his cousins were also shot in retaliation, while his teenage brother also killed himself in the wake of the crime and how much scrutiny it brought to them. In February of 2023, Holder was convicted of Nipsey's killing as well as voluntary manslaughter. As a result, he was informed that he'd be spending upwards of 60 years behind bars. The verdict was delivered by Judge H. Clay Jack II, who explained his reasoning for imposing such a strict sentence, despite defense attorney Aaron Jensen arguing that Eric Holder's mental health issues should have been considered. I am very mindful of what he presented as to Mr. Holder's mental health, he said at the sentencing. I am also mindful of the devastation caused to the victims and their families. I believe this sentence balances the two. Among those who testified was Cowboy Douglas, an employee at the Marathon store who felt he did what he could to set the record straight.
He was jumping out. He was really looking for problems. I know for sure he didn't come near looking for Nip, you know what I mean? He came to the hood wanting some problems for sure. Jumping out with 2 pistols, you're gonna find problems, I don't care. Any hood you jump out. A lot of people putting a lot of emphasis saying Nipsey called him a snitch. Nipsey never called him a snitch, not one time.
Ever since that day, Nipsey's family, friends, and fans have been in mourning. Not to mention his 2 young kids that he had with his longtime girlfriend, Lauren London. Cowboy Douglas has also claimed that on top of Nipsey's physical absence, his death has had a lasting impact for the neighborhood that he sought to uplift. In the Crenshaw district, it's been rough over there for us, he said. When Nipsey was living, a lot of us was working. When Nipsey was gone, a lot of us had nowhere to go. He was building that for the community, and without that establishment there's a lot of people that don't have jobs, or definitely suffering. A lot of these kids, they're backsliding. They looked up to Nip, and they were trying to do positive stuff. And now Nip's not here. In the absence of Nip, his neighborhood has struggled to rebuild. But often, the deaths of these rappers who refuse to move out of their native lands can unfortunately feel inevitable because of how they conducted themselves within its network of gangs and all the politics that come along with it. That's why, as tragic as it was for a young man to lose his life at 26, no one was exactly shocked that Julio Fulio ended up passing before he turned 30.
Is it never a time you think like, man, if I do this shit right here, it's gonna put a bigger target on my back?
No, it is what it is already, so nothing I could say a dude could make them want to kill me more.
A prominent rapper who was entrenched in the Jacksonville drill scene, Fulio was a leading member of the KTA movement, which had been warring with their ATK rivals for decades at a time. But Fulio and his ties to the streets had made the whole state a dangerous place for him to reside for decades.
It came to like 4th period, I was finna fight like 3 people. 3 of the same people in the same hood, so okay. I get off the school bus. Mind you, now I ain't thinking of nothing. Like, I been taunting this man all day, like he been being dead. Like, knowing that karma real, I ain't thinking of it at that time, but this would show me karma real. I'll say probably like 5-10 minutes later, somebody pop out the cut, go to shooting, boom, boom, boom. I got hit on my hip, and my hip popped out of place, and I was just crawling, looking back, looking at him still shooting.
But somehow, even after these incidents as a kid, Fulio just kept dissing the dead in songs such as When I See You.
He kept dissing on me. What happened? Now we smoking 23.
And Who I Smoke.
See it so you smoke. Fast meet you, that's a new pack. Rollo died with himself in, he ain't shoot back.
Or who could forget List of Dead Ops, where he, well, lists his dead ops.
I got hit in the head, he tried to swim at the pool. Big baby got caught in the morning on the bus, was going to school.
He was openly provocative towards his rivals, both in social media posts and interviews. One of the many ops Fulio targeted in his raps included those who were close to his ultimate rival in the industry, Youngin Ace.
I mean, you got shot because you were dissing somebody that was dead, right?
Yeah.
Then after that, you started rapping about dead people.
I was rapping about it before then, but it just, somebody actually died, like somebody died, so they was like, you know what I'm saying, they was butt hurt about it, you know? So that was like the karma, the instant karma.
Because of his lifestyle, the potential for his demise lurked around every corner. And there were just so many ops that there were countless attempts on his life.
I walk out the studio, I'm walking down like the carport to my car. Anytime I walk anywhere, I got my gun in my hand, walking wherever in Jacksonville, like that's just how you gotta be. As soon as I get to sit down a little bit, niggas go to blowing. Pop, 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 pop.
You didn't see nobody before?
Hell no, I just see 2 niggas shooting. Choppers now, I see 2 niggas shooting. Boy, I had to locate where the shot was coming. I'm like, boy, what the fuck going on? Like, I'm dead, I know I'm dead.
Considering he was shot in the foot as late as October 2023, Fulio really should have been keeping a low profile, if not getting out of Florida entirely. But in June of 2024, he decided that his landmark was his 26th birthday, and he decided to do so in a public capacity and therefore let the public and his enemies know where he was. The first step was a pool party, which people thought was an errant move.
The pool party start today at 5-6 o'clock. If you already got the address, pull up, man. DM me for the address or DM Fulio booking ESPN. I'm gonna put it right here. We just got here, bruh. You got to add it.
One user even predicted the events that would follow, saying, "This shit getting shot up." From there, his location kept getting leaked, and it didn't help that he posted a flyer to his story with the address clearly printed on it. On top of that, he was visibly lit, specifically drunk, which was rare for him.
Me drinking, cuz. I don't even drink, cuz.
With his location public and the fact that he was visibly impaired, he then shared a clip of himself walking up the stairs to a club called Truth 18, once again giving his ops an update on his whereabouts.
We came deep and fuck for my birthday, man. Everybody coming out the stairs. No cap, man. You know what I'm saying?
Then at 4:40 a.m., Fulio was returning to the Holiday Inn when he was shot up by assailants who pulled up on him, and soon he was declared dead on arrival. As the news spread, he was unsurprisingly clowned by his enemies in the wake of his slaying, with Youngin Ace literally releasing a diss track that same day, and also hinted at the fact that he was the one who orchestrated it, although it's just a rumor. Likewise, critics such as Charleston White believe that this was the only logical conclusion to the way that he was living.
Yeah, nah, well, I didn't tell him they would go get him. I just knew they would go get him. Because the boy works hard to get got. Nah, that nigga works hard to get shot on. Man, they shot his foot off last year, give him that pirate nub. Man, that nigga supposed to still, nigga got his foot shot off, ain't supposed to be bouncing around on his birthday. Man, get somewhere and sit down and rest that foot and work your hips, nigga. Nigga supposed to be fucking. And then I'm thinking, at the Holiday Inn, what the fuck? Man, nigga ain't no protection on a nigga at the Holiday Inn. They ain't got valet parking.
Since then, 5 men have been arrested in connection to the crime, but no one has been brought to justice as of yet. But this may not always be the case, because in the tragic tale of another Floridian rapper who was cut down in his prime, his killers were so careless that being caught was a foregone conclusion. After emerging into the spotlight in 2017, José Onfroy, better known as XXXTentacion, captivated a generation of disenfranchised teens with his unique, emotionally open take on SoundCloud rap. But he was also a deeply troubled man and always wondered if his life might be cut short at any moment.
Worst thing comes to worst, I fucking die a tragic death or some shit and I'm not able to see out my dreams. I at least want to know that the kids perceive my message and use it and turn it into something positive and to at least have a good life.
Over time, his fans catapulted him to the peak of the game, racking up plenty of platinum plaques along the way. But even though his life had been engulfed in drama, criminal cases, and even beefs with close friends and foes, the circumstances around him passing on was really just an ordinary day. After spending the morning working on music and gaming, XXXTentacion set out on his journey, unaware that his killers followed him all the way from the Bank of America, where they saw him retrieving $50K in cash, to Riva Motorsports, where X, accompanied by his uncle, was looking to buy a motorbike. Once he got there, the would-be assassins scoped it out and even came in to buy ski masks to commit the crime. Eventually they pulled up to his vehicle, and from there, the plans for a robbery went left.
Several gunshots, possibly a drive-by. No description on the subject. Someone in a black BMW 3X. Advised a black Dodge Journey is the subject's vehicle. Shot somebody in a black BMW.
With X dead, the news brought hip-hop to its knees, prompting tributes from both his close friends in the industry and megastars who had charted his progress from afar.
X got shot, bro. I think X got shot. Like, for real, I think X got shot, bro. Nah. Yeah, deadass, bro. I think X got shot, fam. I'm calling everybody. Gabe, Solomon, they all telling me, bro, go check. They tell them how they doing CPR on the man and shit.
As cops scrambled to find the killers, it would turn out to be really easy for them as they started flaunting their ill-gotten money online.
What y'all doing, bro? I don't got nothing. What y'all doing, bro? What y'all doing, bro? I don't got nothing, bro. Please, please don't do it. Please don't shoot me. I got kids. I got people to live for. Please don't. Please don't. Fuck that nigga, man. Fuck that ex nigga, man. Y'all know what it is with us, man. For real. Y'all should have heard this nigga last words, bro.
Meanwhile, some of those on his team wondered if there was more they could have done to avert this from ever happening. We talked to him about needing security, that he was past the point of being a kid making melodies on a street corner. X's lawyer, David Bogenschutz, told South Florida's Sun Sentinel. Over time, the cops began to hone in on the suspects Michael Boatwright, Trayvon Newsome, and Dedrick Williams. Meanwhile, the testimony of a fourth man, Robert Allen, basically ensured they were going to get convicted.
What was the comment that Trayvon Newsome made to you after you started testifying in this case?
He called me the police and asked me, and said that I work for the white man, to sell out.
The currency that is being held by Michael Boatwright. Do you recall if that is from the robbery in this case?
Yes, it is.
Do you recall if this photograph was taken after you and your co-defendants robbed and killed the victim?
In the end, Trayvon Newsome and Dedrick Williams were sentenced to life without the possibility of parole, while Michael Boatwright received 2 consecutive life sentences. As for Robert Allen, his decision to cooperate paid off, as he received just 7 years in prison, with credit for 4 years, 9 months, and 21 days served. Due to the horrifying and senseless nature of the crime, the judge condemned them even as he handed down the sentence.
You turned a robbery into a murder. And on that day, when you stood there and fired that weapon, you didn't just end 1 life. You effectively ended 5 lives, including your own.
Despite the fact that he's now been gone for years, X's legacy lives on across Florida and the world. Meanwhile, our next fallen star will always have his place enshrined in the history of the genre due to not only his own talent, but his ties to one of the most illustrious stars in the history of the genre. Born Deshaun Holton, Proof was a pivotal figure in the Detroit hip-hop scene. The man who brought D12 to life, Eminem has always maintained that there was basically no one who was more vital in his career.
That's how Proof was to me. He was a godsend to me because I know that I would not have made it without knowing him. He co-signed for me when I went to the shop, when I went to Ebony Show, because he co-signed for me everywhere I went and people respected him.
After working together on D12's 2 iconic #1 albums, Devil's Night and D12 World, Proof set up his own label and released his solo debut via the Iron Fist Records imprint. Yet, around that time, his death had been foreshadowed in the video to Eminem's Like Toy Soldiers, which showed the aftermath of him being shot and a horrified Eminem arriving on the scene. And on one fateful night in his native Detroit, this premonition would come true when he was shot in the back of the head at a pool hall. After the dust settled, department spokesman James Tate said that the shooting at the Triple C nightclub began after an argument and that an unidentified man was also shot in the head but had survived. Although it was unclear at the time, Obi Trice relayed what went down, including the impact it had on Shady.
I heard it was an altercation came about over the pool game. Words got passed around and they say Proof shot, but I don't know if that story true. A lot of fabrication going on with the story and shit. I don't really know. Well, that's what I'm hearing. Proof shot his cousin, my man shot Proof.
How badly did it affect Eminem?
Yeah, that was his man's. Yeah, so, you know, I'm sure he took it as hard as all of us, you know, or even harder being how close he was, but, you know, that didn't matter. Everybody took it hard.
A true titan in the city, Obi Trice struggled to wrap his head around the fact that he was killed over something as stupid as a game of pool. The man who pulled the trigger, who was a bouncer at the club, turned himself in. This incited chaos in the hood, while he ultimately escaped jail time on self-defense and fled the D. To this day, the region still hasn't fully recovered, with Bizarre discussing the massive knock-on effect on the city and his D12 crew.
It was his baby, man. You know, it was his idea. You know, he orchestrated it. He made sure he kept everybody in line. It just was never the same, man, because it was his brand. It was his soul, you know what I'm saying? So I think, you know, we were lost too, you know what I'm saying? We were mourning him and going through that, all that type of shit, so.
Clearly, Proof's death left a hole in the hearts of many people in Detroit, and it was very much the same scenario for those in Memphis reeling from the death of Young Dolph. Similar to Nipsey Hussle, Young Dolph is a man who always bet on himself and excelled against all odds.
Pretty much clarifying that you were independent.
Right.
Is that because of all the questions you get about Brick Squad and the affiliation that you have?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It was just because of everything, bro. You just don't know. Bro, people tell me Dolph signed with Grand Hustle, you know what I'm saying? Dolph signed to CMG, yo guy. No, I ain't signed to CMG. And the most out of all of them, Dolph was signed to Brick Squad. No, you know what I'm saying? Gucci, that's my dog. He showed me a lot of love, so I showed him love back. But, come on, it's just like I said, man. I was playing a quarter ticket before I ever met Gucci, man. And I met Gucci, man, way before people were talking about this. All Dolph signed with Brick Squad, signed with Brick Squad. So come on, man, that's old.
After rising to fame, he put on for other artists via his Paper Route Empire imprint, while unreservedly turning down any deal from a label that was placed in front of him, no matter how life-altering the sum of money might be in the short term. Although, along the way, he racked up some enemies, including fellow Memphis artist Yo Gotti and his CMG crew. Because of his ties in the city, both good and bad, the city was a treacherous place for him to go to. But even then, no one would have imagined that a trip to a place named Makita's Home Butter Cookies in November 2021 would result in his death. Upon entering the store, two men pulled up and opened fire, leading to him being shot over 22 times. In January of 2022, those responsible, including Tennessee rapper Justin Johnson, lesser known as Straight Drop, were identified and captured. But his co-defendant Cornelius Smith took the stand to expose what really went down in an attempt to save himself. He provided the motive for the crime by stating that Yo Gotti's big brother Big Juke, who has since passed on, greenlit the killing.
We knew that, you know, they had a hit on Dolphin them head or whatever, so...
Who had a hit on whose head?
Big Juke had a hit on Dolph head or whatnot, so...
How do you know that Big Juke had a hit on Dolph's head?
Cause Quick had told me about it, Quick, and, you know what I'm saying, being just...
How much money was it supposed to be?
100,000 on Dolph head.
And had you agreed to do this hit?
Yes, sir.
According to Smith, they had been plotting it for weeks on end, and initially planned to catch him at a turkey drive that he was hosting for impoverished families in the area after spotting his camouflage-wrapped whip. But they proceeded to follow him into a cookie shop where he ventured in to get sweet treats for his mother instead. As the trial commenced, they recounted the shooting and surveillance camera footage taken from the scene. In conjunction with Smith's claims, the assistant district attorney Paul Hagerman declared that
Yo Gotti's late brother Big Juke put out a $100,000 hit for whoever killed young Dolph, then met with the two suspects before the shooting.
Throughout the trial, Justin seemed to be struggling to believe what he was seeing, right down to Smith revealing that he asked his girlfriend to pick him up after the murder.
Go to her place.
Correct.
When y'all went to her place, what car were y'all in?
We was in White Expedition.
When y'all get to her place, what do y'all do?
Well, we inside, chain clothes, and we was in there. She had helped me for a minute before the wound keep coming. She was helping me out or whatever. We chain clothes, and the wound keep coming. I was able to, you know, put bandage on it and stuff like that.
I want to show you a video.
But that was all they needed to know, leading to Johnson receiving life in prison plus an additional 50 years. However, not every crime involving a rapper being killed in their own city is so easily wrapped up. And when you consider the number of people involved, it seems unlikely that the killing of Draco the Ruler will just be added to the endless array of homicides in his native California that will never be solved. A South Central rapper whose original style was lauded for pretty much revolutionizing the sound of the coast at a time where it wasn't at the forefront, Draco was killing it for years. Even when he wound up in jail on a murder charge, he refused to let his momentum slow, releasing the iconic "Thank You for Using GTL" with raps he recorded over the jail telephone system. Despite being involved and implicated in crime, he wasn't actually aligned with the Crips or Bloods. Instead, he formulated his own crew, the Stink Team.
These niggas be gangbanging for protection. These niggas bums. I ain't had to do all that shit.
So you just kind of avoided it?
Yeah, I avoided it.
Stink Team's your gang?
Yeah, Stink Team.
Although he rose within the world of gang culture, Draco was bold and was completely unmoved by the prospect of having enemies either in the rap game or on the streets.
We know your name, Marquisha.
And eventually, that brazen nature would catch up to him. On the evening of December 19th, 2021, Draco pulled up to the Once Upon a Time in LA festival. Initially, his entire crew, including his brother and fellow rapper Ralphie the Plug, felt at ease with what was going down.
We wasn't worried about it. We went to work. You know what I'm saying? We wasn't caring who was there, who was that. We just went to work. You know what I'm saying? Draco was gonna pick up his money if it was just me, him, and one security. He wasn't giving a fuck.
But that turned out to be misguided, as soon they were ambushed when the Inglewood Bloods steamed in, leading to a massive fight. In the chaos, one man lost his life. Jeff Weeze, a respected journalist known for his close relationship with Draco, recalled the moment where they began to piece together what had happened. It is Draco, mask off, blood pouring all over his face and neck. It looks like his throat had been slit. Considering it was allegedly 113 people taking on just 7 of his crew, it seemed clear that Draco never stood a chance, or that those involved in the murder wanted to ensure that he didn't make it out alive. The incident rocked the coast, with Snoop Dogg, who was at the festival but not present for the incident, campaigning for harmony among the culture. I'm not with anything negative, and as one of the many performers, I was there to spread positive vibes only to my city of LA. My prayers go out to anyone who was affected by the tragedy. Please take care, love one another, and stay safe, y'all. I'm praying for peace in hip-hop. Now, Draco is cited as a great who was gone too soon and kills before he could truly shine. But sometimes, That happens even earlier to these rappers who never quite find the balance between street life and songwriting. And for this next rapper, he never even got to see his 20s. The idea of a rapper being killed in their city could be applicable to any number of candidates from Chicago. However, it's the tender age of the victim and violent circumstances which surrounded his passing that makes Lil JoJo's death into one of the most shocking tales to happen in the Chi. A young artist who repped the Gangster Disciples crew, Brick Squad / IMG, JoJo's rap career was ensnared by beef from the outset. His breakout single 300K took aim at their rivals in the BDs, including Lil Durk, Chief Keef, and more. However, it was the release of the track BDK, which stood for Black Disciple Killer, which truly changed everything. Not just for Lil JoJo, but for Chicago at large.
Has that ever really been said on record like that before?
Never, ever. It looked crazy because these niggas is outside with guns bigger than them, jumping around. You know what I'm saying? These niggas claimed it. Going so now to his set of people that like him and don't like Chief Keef, they, oh shit, we BDK.
Although he was just 17 years old, JoJo wasn't a poser. He was really living the life and had run-ins with essentially everyone that was in the city, including Trench's News. And due to his youthful naivety and the way those surrounding him were gassing him up, he felt invincible.
When JoJo first made the BDK song, man, him and Lil J rolled up on a porch. Like, check out this new song. When I heard it, my first thing to tell JoJo, like, hey, look, you cold with the lyrics, but you're gonna have a problem, bro, because you're not just coming at Lamron or Lil Reese, you're coming at a whole nation. And he was aware of the problems, but, you know, when you got people behind you, yeah, put that out, put that out, put that out. They really don't understand the consequences that come behind that. So he was a good dude, though. Like, I got memories of JoJo. I almost poured water on him. I was trying to play with him, and he showed me his gun on me, like he was gonna shoot me and shit. Like, it was crazy, man.
But just days after the video came out, he was gunned down on the city's south side while riding a bike. Following a day of typically fiery Twitter interactions with his enemies, JoJo made a fatal mistake by confirming his exact location. LMAO, I'm on 069. Stop the fucking flexing. The result was a gruesome scene that, even a year on, left his friends haunted.
They turn him around and see you see a big ass hole like this, boy. I'm like, boy, hell no, he couldn't get hit like one time for my life, bro. The girl said they shot like 6 times. They started it though.
This BD and GD, I don't think this shit gonna ever stop.
Naturally, the same enemies he mocked were going in on him now that he had passed. While his mom even argued that Chief Keef was actually responsible. I don't believe he himself pulled the trigger, but I believe he paid somebody to do it. The Morning Mother adds, I would like justice to come from this and to show kids it's a better way to get an education. And yes, I fear for my own life. Police have a couple leads. They're still working on it. To this day, no one has ever been convicted of the death of Lil JoJo, adding to the countless figures in Chicago whose murders remain unsolved. For JoJo, his death came as a direct result of a track he released, while for Slim Duncan, what he died for was something even more trivial. A beloved friend and collaborator of Waka Flocka, Slim was born in Detroit before his family ultimately set up a life in Atlanta. Over time, he became synonymous with the city's music scene, garnering fame with his breakout track, Oh Let's Do It, which was based on a real drug deal gone wrong. Signed to Gucci Mane's 1017 Brick Squad, Slim was on his way to big things, until things went wrong really quickly in December of 2011. That day, the studio was filled with at least 20 to 30 people, as they were prepping for a video shoot for the track Push-Ups with Gucci Mane and V Nasty. But not all was well, as Slim started messing with another man called Young Vito. While he was eating a candy bar, Slim decided to steal some of it, which Vito took as disrespect. A squabble started and Slim was socked in the face, prompting them to be separated. Then, once things began to calm down, Slim was rhyming and started spitting bars about killing a man with dreadlocks, which Vito was sporting at the time. From there, he produced a gun and shot Duncan in the chest. And even though it was obvious that he shot him to everyone involved, the 9-inch height advantage that Duncan had on him meant that the lawyer could enlist a self-defense argument. In an attempt to save himself, young Vito relayed what occurred in court.
Alright, so what happens?
I fired a gun and it hit him, unfortunately. So
before you fired the gun, did you look at it?
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the gun just, real quick. This don't look like a gun. What's wrong with this guy? He's a Russian. And then, I took a step back or two. But he made me take, I was just trying to scare him, basically. Use threat or whatever. I wasn't trying to kill him. I wasn't trying to shoot him, period. So I was
Why did you shoot him? What were you afraid of?
Even though he tried his best, the whole host of other arrests and convictions that he racked up meant that he was still hit with 2 years for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. But this may be a blessing in disguise, because others like young Scooter suggest that he's got a better chance in the pen than out on the streets.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Well, that's it. He know he did the bad thing by taking the 25. He didn't want to get out. He was hoping they gave him a life sentence, brother. You don't want to get out, you done kill somebody, you know what's up.
As for Slim and his legacy, fellow BSM member Frenchie believed that he was truly on the cusp of greatness just before it happened.
Talk to me about Slim, man.
That's
when
my
he
baby,
passed,
R.I.P.
How did that impact you and the fam?
I don't really think Slim understood how big he was, because even when he passed, you had people like Rick Ross that was mentioning him in raps while he was rapping. But he was big, bro, because everybody fucked with him. Like, and he was like on the verge of you.
He was there.
If he was
next.
Sadly, this take of a rapper getting killed just prior to reaching the height of their fame is a familiar predicament. Just look at what happened to Big L. One of the biggest icons to emerge from Harlem, Big L was among the furious MCs in New York, period. But he never attempted to disguise his rough past, spitting bars like, "Before the rap contract, I was selling crack. Stayed strapped with the Mac, I was into all of that. I started rapping and got nice as hell. If it wasn't for this, I might be doing life in jail." Deemed to be one of the few rappers in the city that could battle with Hove, his debut album, Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous, became one of the biggest underground classics in the city. In fact, he was so renowned that he even looked like a potential signee to The Rock, until the momentum was abruptly stopped.
When we finally got in position and things weren't going the way he wanted, he was gonna come sign with us. So I remember seeing him on the block, and we kicked it. He had called, kicked it, and he was like, "All right, let me know." And he was like, "We gonna do it." He was getting ready to make the announcements and everything, and he got killed.
Just days before he was set to celebrate a deal with Dame and Jay, he was shot 9 times during a drive-by shooting while he was walking around his own neighborhood in Harlem. Allegedly, the killer Gerard Woodley, who was a lifetime friend of Big L's and even appeared on the back cover of his debut album, was said to have a beef with L's older brother, Big Lee. But on account of him being in prison, he decided to take aim at his superstar sibling instead. It couldn't have happened at a worse time, as Big L was firing on all cylinders musically. In fact, DITC crew member OC was trying to contact him about a new song when the information filtered through.
I'm calling him, I'm leaving voicemails. He's not getting back to me. And reason being was I had another idea to do a record with him. Fast forward, I get home. My lady was like, yo, I came in the house and she was teary-eyed. She wasn't boo-hooing. When I got closer to her, that wasn't that vibe. And automatically I was like, who's that? And she was like, L. So the first thing that came to mind was Finesse. Both L's. Yeah. I was like, Ness? And she was like, nah. L, Big L, Soldier's Call.
Woodley, who was suspected in 4 other homicides, would then be killed in 2016, just a few hundred yards away from where he seemingly took out Big L. They were good friends. We were friends with the family even after he was killed. We still talked, said Woodley's aunt, Rosa. Among the many, many rappers who have been killed long before it was their time, Big L still feels like one of the biggest losses because of how much he had left to give. But unfortunately, this is a story that is too familiar and won't be brought to an end until the cycle can be overcome once and for all. It's your boy Louaista, and I want to thank y'all for tapping into today's video. And as always, I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.